What's up guys, and welcome to my review of the Meike 25mm f/0.95, which is also labeled as Neewer 25mm. Here I have the E-mount version of that lens, which is made for APS-C sized cameras like the Sony a6000 series. It has a unique aperture range that starts from 0.95 and goes up to 22. The price for this super fast glass in Europe is just 400 euros. This is a fully manual lens, so no data is transmitted to the camera and we have to focus manually. The lens is pretty long, but that's what you have to accept when buying such a fast lens. But I think it's not too long compared to the SEL24 f18Z. The 25mm is very heavy, so if you're in need of a lightweight lens for gimbal use, the 25mm would not be the best choice. Minimal focus distance is above average, so you can get quite close to your subjects. The 25mm has 12 aperture blades, much more than most other common Sony APS-C lenses. I couldn't get any sun-star rays with it. The bokeh circles look quite nice on that lens. The aperture is declicked, which is nice for video work. The lens has an extendable lens hood, which is quite convenient. Vignetting at f/0.95 is unsurprisingly visible. Stopping down to f1.8 improves your corners. At f5.6, vignetting is no longer visible. As you can see, distortion is pretty heavy, which is very surprising for that focal length. Longitudinal chromatic aberrations, or bokeh fringing, occur in out of focus areas. At 0.95 we see a lot of them, and also a lot of ghosting. Contrast improves when stopping down to f1.8. At f2.8 the amount of bokeh fringing decreases. Transversal chromatic aberration occur on high contrast edges. At 0.95 we see a lot of ghosting. Stop down to f1.8 and the ghosting is nearly completely gone. So besides the ghosting, transversal chromatic aberrations doesn't seem to be an issue on this lens. Color accuracy is measured with a color checker in DaVinci Resolve. But keep in mind that videography is about being creative. Maybe you want a lens that produces warm colors instead of accurate colors. The 25mm has a noticeable magenta tint at f/0.95, which can be solved by stopping down to f1.8. Then it renders even more accurate colors than the SEL24 f18Z. To measure the general sharpness, I compared these test shots with all lenses I own. The radius of my test chart is 6760 pixels. 10 is the highest rating given subjectively by myself. The rating is multiplied with the respective radius. I didn't expect good sharpness at f/0.95, so center performance is okay. Somehow the extreme corners show a slight increase in sharpness. Stopping down to f1.8 increases sharpness a bit, but more importantly, contrast is boosted to an acceptable level, as you can see here. It's a bit surprising that at that aperture sharpness doesn't extend from the center towards the corners. At f2.8 center sharpness becomes better, but continues to fall off abruptly to 0 towards the corners. This performance is quite disappointing, I think. Now at f5.6 we have finally a good sharp image. In the small center this lens is the sharpest I tested so far. All other lenses just reached 7 points, but the perfect center sharpness on the 25mm still quits too early towards the corners. This cost the 25mm a good ranking at all three apertures in comparison to other lenses. Close-up sharpness is not really measured and calculated. I assess the test shots of a lens subjectively in relation to all my lenses I own. On my close-up test chart, the 25mm struggled a lot with the extreme corners at f1.8. As you can see, center performance is good, but look at this corner. Awful. Even stop down to f5.6 leaves us with a bad performance. So, close-up sharpness at f1.8 is not really good. Stopping down to f2.8 increases center sharpness to an useful amount, but disappointingly corners stay soft. At f5.6, the 25mm showed the best center performance I tested so far, but can't really get rid of those soft corners. Again, bad corner performance result in a low ranking, which is a real pity considering the exceptional center performance at f5.6. But let's take a look at some actual footage I shot with that lens. Before I come to my final thoughts, I would like to show you how much more light you get when using the f0.95. So this shot was taken at 1/15th of a second at f1.8 with ISO set to 400. Next shot is taken with the same shutter speed at f0.95. The ISO went down to 320. I really thought the difference would be greater. We do get more light indeed compared to f1.8, but it's not as much as you would think when you hear f0.95. Now, this lens is currently the fastest E-mount lens you can get on the market. Therefore, its price is really reasonable and not too expensive, so its best use would be for portraits. On the other hand, corner softness really is a problem on this lens, so I wouldn't use it for professional landscape photography. I ordered this lens to have a low light beast for video shooting, but the lack of contrast at f0.95 is a bit too hefty for my demands. At f1.8, the contrast is usable. But why buying a 0.95 lens and use it all the time only at f1.8? An alternative would be the Samyang 24mm f1.4. This also fully manual lens is a bit more expensive in Europe. And of course there's the Sony 24mm 1.8. I'm working on a side-by-side comparison video between these two lenses, so stay tuned and take care. Bye bye.